So this is the learning objectives for this chapter. They seem long because we're using a lot of terms that we're going to bang out today, and you're going to understand what these mean, especially 14.2, the basic characteristics of all these different kinds of annuities, most of which will seem sort of self-evident once you kind of understand the definition of them. We'll talk about how they're taxed, and then we'll get into IRAs, which you're going to really use a lot, whether or not you go into providing personal financial advice to somebody or just applying it to your own life. So we talked about the fact that the definition of annuity is a periodic payment, which is why when you think about pension benefits, especially for the state of Wisconsin, you work your whole career or part of your career for the state. As long as you're here for long enough, I think it's 5 years, you're vested, you're going to get some kind of a pension benefit, which is really an annuity. So after you retire, you're going to get income for the rest of your life. It's a pretty great thing. But you can create this same thing for yourself. So let's say you decide not to work for the state. Let's say you're going to work for yourself. You're going to run a donut truck, and that donut truck is super profitable. And so you save your whole life. And you're like, I wish I had a pension. You can make one by buying an annuity. And so the annuity can provide you, the annuity that you purchase can provide you with the same series of payments. But you don't automatically have to turn it into lifetime income. And we'll talk about how there's two different sides to an annuity, the accumulation phase and the payout phase. And you don't always have to go to the payout phase. But the biggest reason people buy annuities is that protection against longevity. So excessive longevity. If I live too long, oh my God, what will happen if I run out of money? Well, if you have an annuity, you can't run out of money because you'll always have the income from that annuity payment, because most people buy annuities because they're afraid of living too long and they want to outsource market fluctuations to an insurance company. They're like, let the insurance company take the risk. I like guarantees in retirement. So that not outliving your income, primary reason for purchasing an annuity. So when you buy an annuity, if you buy a deferred annuity, meaning you give them your premium payments, and before flipping the switch to turn it into income, you could get interest earnings. And you're also going to benefit when you buy an annuity. This seems creepy, but we got to talk about it. The unliquidated principal of annuitants who die early. You're like, what? Yes, we are pooling longevity risk when you buy an annuity. So as if you're going to deal with your own retirement, right? Say, here's you. Oh, it won't let me draw there. Come on. You with your big pile of money. You got a pile of money that's $1 million. And let's say you are only because I've done the pre-work on this. Let's say you are a 55-year-old woman. And you have a pile of money that's $1 million. You just won it in the lottery. And so it's an after-tax amount of $1 million. So after tax, $1 million in the lottery. You could, and you're like, I'm out. I'm not going to work anymore. I'm done. I lived my whole life. I didn't save a dime, but now that I've got $1 million, I'm done because I feel rich. If we used a safe withdrawal rate, and let's say she was going to like invest that money instead of buy an annuity, how much could she take out her first year? What would you use for a safe withdrawal rate for a 55-year-old female? There's a range of numbers that are appropriate. What number seems okay to you? Throw it in the chat. What would a safe withdrawal rate be? Below 2%? That'd be, yeah, we'd be stingy with her at 2%, right? 3.5%. Yeah, we kind of learned last week and the week before that 4% is too much. And the younger you are when you retire, the riskier it is because you got so many years ahead of you. But to be fair to this situation, let's say she plans, she's like, I could live to 95 or beyond. So if I were to invest it, how much would you guys let me have each year? And if you say 3.5%, that implies an income of $35,000 per year, right? plus inflation, because you're supposed to be able to take inflationary increases once it begins. Now, is this guaranteed? If we just invest, even if we put it in a conservative portfolio of maybe 30% stocks, 70% bonds and cash, it could go down. I mean, there could be years where this portfolio loses money. Look at 2007, 2008. Look at the Vanguard Target Retirement Income Fund, VTINX, and we could see it lost money that year. So people who are in retirement were like, what? This is crazy. I can't be losing money. So those years scared a lot of people into the arms of insurance companies who sell annuities with guarantees, because people panicked. But here we've got this 55-year-old female, we'll call her Jada. I think Jada Pinkett Smith isn't quite that old, but for some reason I want her to be. Okay, so 55-year-old female, invested $35,000 per year on a portfolio of $1 million, but she gets to take out she gets to take inflationary increases. And if she dies like at age 80, there's still going to be some money left, right? There should be, because the idea is that this portfolio is available for her during her lifetime, and there will be some money left for her heirs. So people really like the flexibility of saying, well, I'm going to take my $35,000 a year plus inflation, but if I need to dip into it for something extra, I can, that's a great benefit if you like liquidity. But it's not such a great situation if you don't like market risk and if you're afraid that you're going to outlive your money. So in this situation, it's just it's you and your money, and you're like, who can help me? Who can help guarantee me, against market risk and against living too long? Well, enter the insurance company, and the insurance company is like, hey, Jada, I know that you're worried about market risk, and you're also worried about living too long. So we've got a bunch of people who, like you, feel the same way. So it's not just you. There's a bunch of people who are like, we're lining up to participate in this pooling of risk. We've got tons of people, and these are just the people that we can see, but here's everybody, and they're all bringing us their $1 million. Everybody's throwing in $1 million. And when one person goes down, the other people get to keep the money in the pool, because that's how we're anticipating that not all of you are going to make it to 95. Some of you are going to die early. And when you buy an annuity, typically there's no refund. If there's a refund feature on your annuity, you're not going to get as much income. We'll see that in a minute. So we are going to pool this risk, and it's going to, in theory, allow you, Jada, to get more money out each year, guaranteed, than what your own portfolio would give you. And the reason for this is, number one, you're going to give us all your money right now. You're going to push all of your chips to us, and we're going to invest it. And we're going to invest it in perpetuity. We'll invest it conservatively, but we're also going to enjoy the fact that it's going to sound sadistic, but we will all benefit from the fact that not everybody's going to live to 95, because this is a pool of risk that's intended to insure against you living too long. And not everybody is going to live too long. A lot of people are going to leave their lifetime savings behind in this pool for everybody else to enjoy. Now, we don't know who's going to die early, and that's what makes this work. Hopefully, we get a bunch of healthy people to show up in this. Well, let's rephrase. Hopefully, you show up healthy, and the pool has all unhealthy people in it. Oh, please, right? You're like, I could get even more money. But the pool isn't underwritten. The insurance company doesn't care how healthy you are. They assume you're going to live a long life, and which is when they give you a quote for your annuity payment, you'll see that it's going to be adjusted depending upon what benefits you want to add to it. So we're dealing with actuaries who are identifying what the odds are that you are going to live to a ripe old age, and they're betting that they're hoping you die, because then it's more money to spread among the other annuitants, and of course keep their profits reasonable. So now there's a bunch of different flavors for these annuities, and the cleanest, simplest annuity on the planet is an immediate annuity. You show up with your big pile of cash and you immediately turn it into guaranteed income. And right now, since the market is so high, you've got people whose portfolios, their retirement portfolios, are much bigger than they ever expected, because the last couple of years have been insane in terms of growth rates. You get a lot of people who are starting to feel a little bit scared that, okay, A, they're close to retirement age. B, maybe they've been overly invested in stocks. Lucky them, but that's not such a smart thing to do 5 minutes before you're ready to retire. But now maybe they're ready to be done with market risk and at least take a portion of their portfolio that would give them enough into an annuity that would generate enough guaranteed income to cover their basic expenses. Most people don't put 100% of their liquidity into an annuity. They might pick just enough that will generate an income to cover their Maslow's level 1 stuff: food, shelter, the basics. And they'll leave the rest of their money aside to grow and maybe pay for luxury items, or to help beat inflation, depending upon what kind of an annuity they buy. But an immediate annuity, you give them your money and they will immediately start giving you a guaranteed income for life. So that's why it's called immediate, because it goes straight from you giving them money to you getting income forever, or at least until you die. If it's more than you, there might be, if we're going to insure 2 lives, we're going to get to that in a moment, where it's a joint life annuity. But with an immediate joint annuity or an immediate single life annuity, the payments start immediately. And again, you're throwing in a lump sum. So the accumulation period for an immediate annuity is awfully short. It might be 1 month. And during that 1 month where you make the premium payment and then they start the income, you're going to get a little bit of interest. Some people buy an annuity with the intention of not flipping the switch to start payments for a year, or 2, and that would be considered a deferred annuity. But you might do that. Let's say you think you're going to retire in a year and you're like, but I'm going to feel terrible if the market takes a big dump between now and then. So maybe I'll buy a deferred annuity that gives me a guaranteed minimum interest rate. It's super low. It's look at what you can get in CDs right now, and that's about what you're going to get in an annuity. It's going to be a little bit better in an annuity because it's an insurance company and they have to tie that pork chop around their neck to get you interested. But a guaranteed rate between now and the time that you flip the switch, or the time that you take the money out, because you might change your mind and not flip the switch if you buy a deferred annuity. So the current rate, based on market conditions, and market conditions right now are pretty mediocre in terms of interest rates. Some goofy annuities will say, hey, if you show up with your big pile of money, we'll give you a bonus amount for the first year, depending upon the company and how badly they want to attract you. I've never dealt with an annuity that pays you a bonus rate the first year. Typically that's going to be offered by a company that's got a worse financial strength rating. Not always, but often. All right, so once you've gone through the accumulation phase, right? And let's just draw this out. Let's say, so here you are at year 0 of the annuity. And maybe you're not flipping the switch and turning it into income right away. Maybe you're in the accumulation phase where you're putting money in and you're getting this guaranteed rate, right? And maybe you're a super conservative person. And so you're like, I don't want any of my money in the market while I'm saving, which is kind of a scary approach. But let's just say for the first 10 years, last 10 years of your working life, you're like, I'm going to put some money into this deferred annuity and I'm going to accumulate. So this is the accumulation phase. And it's your premium payments plus the guaranteed rates from the insurance company. And then if you decide that you want to bail after 10 years and take your pile of money and go somewhere else with it, you can. Most deferred annuities are like, you can absolutely not flip the switch and turn it into guaranteed income. You can just bail, and that's fine. You could do a 1035 exchange into another annuity, or if you want, you can just take the whole pile out, but it's going to create a big tax consequence. You could also, of course, flip the switch and turn it into guaranteed income for the rest of your life. So if you want, during the payout phase, you take lifetime income. I've drawn it to be too high because I guarantee you your lifetime income would actually be down here, right? You'd be like, oh, it's this much for the rest of my life, right? It depends on how big of a pile you're bringing them. And we're going to look back at that 55-year-old female in a minute to see what she would get. So the deferred annuity can provide income either in one single premium deferred purchase. You can show up with one big wad, or you can put it in over time like I've shown here. You can also buy something called a longevity annuity. And this has gotten somewhat popular as a way to, again, insure against living too long. You bring them a big fat payment today, but the annuity income doesn't begin until you're age 85. It's a really interesting product, but it's filled with all sorts of analysis that you need to do to make sure that it's the right fit for you or for your client. I mentioned this idea of a joint annuity. So let's say you're married when you retire and you're like, look, we both have worked hard. We both need this guaranteed income. We want an annuity that will last over both of our lives. And you can imagine when we're insuring two people instead of just one, the income is going to go down, because now we've got a risk that one of them is going to keep living. I mean, one of them might die, but the other one keeps living. We've got to still pay. So a single life annuity generally will pay more than an annuity that's covering two lives. And what we do underwrite for, we don't care about health, but what we care desperately about is age. Age is a huge factor in determining how much income the insurance company is going to give you, because it's all about longevity and living too long. And if you're 40 when you buy the annuity, there's a chance, I mean, if they'll even sell you an annuity at age 40, because they're guaranteeing you income forever. And they're like, geez, you could live, we could be making 60 years worth of payments on this thing, versus if you buy it at 85, or that's maybe too old, 65. They're like, oh, thank goodness, we would make far fewer payments, right? So your income that you're going to get is going to be higher the older you are when you purchase it. And again, it's all about how many years worth of payments do they anticipate that you're going to get. This first bullet point is interesting. Most annuities are not annuitized. What? It's true. And when we say annuitized, we mean we don't flip the switch and turn it into guaranteed income. Because people hate the idea of turning it into guaranteed income and then dying prematurely. They're like, I desperately want my heirs to get something, which is too bad, because there's a good chance that an annuity as part of your retirement income plan is going to make it more likely that your heirs will get some of the rest of your assets than if you didn't have the annuity, depending upon how much risk you're taking on in your portfolio. Let's see, what else do I want to mention about types of annuities? A life annuity with no refund is the one that gives you the highest income, gives you a life income and nothing else, right? No refund. And when we use the word refund, we're saying, and some people will be like, look, this whole annuity idea sounds really great because I love outsourcing the market risk and I love the guarantee that it pays me forever, but I really want my heirs to get something. And the insurance company might say, look, if you're going to show up with $1 million and we give you this guaranteed income, if you want, we'll guarantee that your heirs, that if you haven't received at least $1 million back, will pay the balance to your heirs. So let's say you show up with your $1 million, we give you a guaranteed income for life. And let's say it won't be, but let's say it's 100,000 a year. And you collect 5 years worth of 100,000 per year income, which means we've given you $500,000, and then you get eaten by an alligator on your first trip to wherever. Then we'll give your beneficiaries the remaining 500,000 that you showed up with. But if you buy that guarantee as part of your deal and you live for at least 10 years, that means you've gotten at least your initial premium out. Your heirs wouldn't get anything. For some people, they're like, yeah, that sounds better. Let's do that. Well, it sounds better, but you're going to get less income. So be thoughtful about which option you pick and what the cost is. A life annuity with a period certain is similar, but it's saying, look, thanks for bringing your $1 million. Here's what we'll give you for income every year. And we'll guarantee that we'll pay at least 5 years worth of income payments, either to you or to your beneficiary. So that if you die in the first 5 years, your beneficiary will get the balance of that 5 years worth of guarantee. But if you live more than 5 years, nobody's getting anything. And this is very similar. Life annuity with period certain pays a life income to the annuitant with a certain number of guaranteed payments, and a life annuity with guaranteed payments pays a life income to the annuitant with a certain number of guaranteed. These two are identical. All right, an installment refund option. Similar. This is just saying we're going to pay back if you die before the full amount of premium payments that you made is paid out to you in the form of a refund, we're going to give your beneficiary the balance, but we don't give it to them all at once. We're going to make them take it over a period of time. Versus the cash refund option, which is just one big lump sum. So all of these, options for additional ways of getting more money out of the annuity are all interesting, but they absolutely will reduce how much you would get. This example, we're going to look at a more current one. This is for a male age 67, which is saying, if you were a 67-year-old male, show up with $250,000, and this is back in 2018 when they ran these numbers. And it's funny, I used the same source. I love immediateannuities.com because they don't ask me for they actually did ask me for my email, but it's because I wanted more information. So the purchase price, the amount of income that you'll get each month, and I'm sort of mad that they didn't do this on an annual basis. So $250,000 bought this guy income of $1,478. First of all, I mentioned that age counts when it comes to how much they'll give you in exchange for your premium payment. They also care about gender, because if you are, if they care about male versus female, because males generally don't live as long. And so a 67-year-old male is going to get more money than a 67-year-old female, because we will linger forever, right? So 1478 times 12 is 17,736 per year. Divide that by 250,000. That's a withdrawal rate of 7%. And it's technically not a withdrawal rate, it's technically a payout rate. Because one of the things to keep in mind with this set of quotes is all of these payout options are level. They never increase, which makes it less interesting when you're trying to compare it to a portfolio that you might be able to take an increasing amount out of. Because remember, with that safe withdrawal rate of 3.5%, we said your first year's 3.5%, but then you get inflationary increases after that. So with an annuity, you've got a choice, and what they're showing us on this slide is the difference in income depending upon which payout option you choose. But keep in mind, These are all level. No, level. Never increase. So that 17,000 a year probably feels okay the first year, but it's not going to feel so great in 20 years when inflation has like kicked your butt. You're like, oh, too bad. But the idea, of course, is that you wouldn't use all of your money to buy this annuity. You would buy this annuity and have other money left over that you can use to try to beat inflation. And you maybe be more inclined to take on risk because you've got this guaranteed source of income from the insurance company. But let's just talk about guarantees for a moment. That $250,000 purchase price in the state of Wisconsin, I think the new guarantee amount that the state will guarantee, the state guarantee fund, is $300,000. So if, I know this is Nebraska, pretend it's not, but if ABC insurance company that our 67-year-old dude buys his annuity from, if that company goes belly up and they're like, we're super sorry, but we, I don't know, lost a bunch of money and we can't make your payments. The insurance company is going to be backed by the state guarantee fund, which all insurance companies pay into to make sure that scoundrel companies like ABC that went broke doesn't ruin it for them. Because nobody remembers. It's like Chipotle versus Qdoba. One of them had food poisoning problems. I don't remember which one. All I know is I'm always afraid that I'm going to kind of get food poisoning when I go to one of those two, but I don't know who it is. I definitely like Chipotle better. What do you guys like better, Chipotle or Qdoba? It's one way to divide the universe. Anyways, my point is that there are guarantees with annuities. Yeah, totally Chipotle. And insurance companies are not allowed to tell you this when they sell you their products, because that would encourage companies with terrible financial strength ratings who are offering tons of income compared to companies that are super strong. They would be able to incentivize clients to make that purchase. So even though I care about financial strength ratings when it comes to annuities, there is this feature where up to a certain amount of annuity purchase price is guaranteed by the state guarantee fund. Anyways, so just using this slide as a point of comparison, look at what happens to the income that would be paid. And let's just do this. The income that would be paid over your lifetime and how it goes down when you start adding guarantees. So for your life only is the biggest payment of $1,478. And the lowest is life with, I was just looking, life with cash refund is somewhere in there. We got to get that out of there. Because life with 5 years certain, 10 years certain, 15 years certain, and 20 years certain is just saying, look, if you're so worried that your beneficiaries aren't going to get anything, fine. We will guarantee that even if you die within these periods, your beneficiaries will get the balance of those payments. So the longer the guarantee period, 20-year guarantee, the lower the amount they're willing to give you. So it's almost like, what did you buy the annuity for anyways? I would really encourage people to like reconsider this. I don't like the guarantees. Use something else to give your heirs money. This is for you. This is for your secure retirement. And if you're not healthy, then let's not buy an annuity. Then we're not worried about living too long, right? So this is for people who are probably going to live a long life, that have a legitimate issue with longevity, that, you know, and they're concerned about that being a problem for them, and they might run out of money if they live too long. And they also don't like market risk. So this life with cash refund, of course, is just the refund of the actual premium payment, whereas all of these are just continuing that same dollar amount for 20 years, no matter whether you're alive or not, or 15 years or 10 or 5. Whereas life with the cash refund is payments go for your life, and if you haven't gotten back your original premium payment, will pay the balance to your heirs. These other payout options are also something to consider for clients that need to fill a certain number of years with income. The most common scenario that would come up where somebody might be interested in doing like like for example, a 10-year period certain would be if somebody retires at age 60 and is going to delay Social Security until age 70. And they're like, I want to fill those 10 years while I'm waiting with guaranteed income. And so they might buy a 10-year period certain annuity. In this case, a $250,000 annuity paid out for 10 years guaranteed will give them that kind of money. So you can do the math on what the implied rate of return is when you purchase this kind of a product. We won't do that right now because I'm going to run out of time if I'm not careful. All right. So the rest of these slides are all about the other types of annuities, many of which I don't love, but we're going to talk about them. So variable annuities are filled with opportunities to make more than the low rate of interest that you get on the guaranteed annuity side. When I have a client walk in the door with a variable annuity, I groan because I know they want me to tell them if they made a good purchase. And usually they didn't. Usually it was a product that was sold to them and it's filled with expenses, and getting rid of it is going to result in a surrender charge because they probably just bought it. I literally just did a person's plan this past weekend, and she does not understand what she bought, but she keeps buying more annuities. And I'm like, why did you not come to me before you bought this annuity instead of after? Because now I have to help her make this horrible choice. Do we sell this? Do we back out of this annuity that you bought that has a huge surrender penalty? But it also has huge expenses. So variable annuities are filled with gory terms that nobody understands. And half the time, the person who sold it doesn't even know what they sold to the person, sold to the customer. Certainly the customer doesn't know what they own. But the idea with a variable annuity is that hopefully you can get enough return from your investments inside the annuity that you'll do well, which again, you're very limited in the options that you have for things that you can invest in, and they're usually super expensive. One reason that people like to buy them is this guaranteed death benefit. Oftentimes the variable annuity will say, look, if you show up with X amount, you bring us $100,000, even if the market declines, we'll guarantee to pay your heirs at least that $100,000, which is true with the deferred annuity that pays a lower interest rate. But this is another pork chop that gets tied around the necks of an insurance company that is selling variable annuities. They're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll still guarantee your heirs at least what you put in. And they've got all these other options that you can add. Again, guaranteeing the principal. They make sure that, again, 2007, 2008, when people lost money, they're like pulling their hair out because they shouldn't have been in the market in the first place if they're so panicky over a market decline. You know, it's all just a bad dream until you turn it into a reality by selling at the bottom, which is what a lot of people did. So they sold at the bottom and they took their pile of leftover money and they bought an annuity. Oh, they didn't just buy an annuity. They bought a variable annuity, which of course is filled with expenses, and somebody else made a big commission off of it. And they're like, oh, but I love the guarantees. They promised me that I would never get less than what I put into it, which you can't guarantee me in the stock market. Yes, you're right. But if we wait around long enough in the market, it'll eventually grow. So with these variable annuities, they're like, we promise, even if you lose money, we'll guarantee that the phantom value will always protect the principal. And when I say phantom value, I mean the value that they'll use for annuitizing the income. That if you want to walk away, they're not going to guarantee you your principal if you want to walk away with it and surrender the contract. So these guarantees are sort of phony baloney. And they've got these, you know, the lock-in. So they guarantee, for the purpose of turning your annuity into an investment, that its high watermark, you'll never have less, some of them offer this, less than the highest peak at which this contract grows to. Again, it's the phantom value that's being guaranteed. They're not the surrender value. All these fees, so many fees that pile up, that can make it very difficult for your variable annuity to actually make money. It's also this fixed indexed annuity, which some of my favorite online sources for annuity information, they won't even sell because they don't offer guarantees They're very confusing. Clients think they're buying a product that is giving them some amazing ability to participate in market growth without the risk, but there's still plenty of risk and plenty of expense. And longevity annuities are the ones that I mentioned, where you might buy an annuity at age 60. You're like, I'm going to buy this annuity today at age 60, and I'm going to pay X for this annuity that at age 85 guarantees me an income of Y. And you're like, why would I do that? Well, if you're afraid of living too long, like getting to age 85 with your pile of money, like from here to here, is not that bad. I mean, it's, we can plan with a lot more certainty if we think your life expectancy is 85. But if you might live to 100 or beyond, that's where things get dicey, because the reverse effect of compound interest when it comes to inflation, that can be a bugger. Also, what if you're in a long-term care facility and you didn't want to buy long-term care insurance, but you might not be in a long-term care facility? Maybe you'll just be living somewhere and you want some guarantee that the 85-year-old version of you is going to have money. So you could do whatever you want in these years with the rest of your money, but with this longevity annuity, you're going to put in a premium that will generate enough income for the 85-year-old version of you to live out to whatever age, right? So a longevity annuity is a really interesting product. The problem with it is people don't like the fact that if they die before 85, I mean, there might be some kind of a option to pay a benefit to your survivors, but that's going to result in a lower income amount for you at age 85. So they're similar to your other annuities. It's just a delayed period where the insurance company gets to sit on your money, do whatever it wants with it, but then guarantee that you'll have an income if you live to 85. And here are some of the advantages we talked about. So in the event that you you're a gambler and you went to the horse track from age 60 to 85 and you burned through all your money, at least you have that longevity annuity to save you when you're 85. And they are less expensive than traditional immediate annuities because the insurance company is skipping the income payments from age 60 to 85. It doesn't pick it up until you hit 85. And you can add an inflation hedge to it if you want. Of course, it will reduce the amount of income the first year. The problem, your heirs aren't going to get any money if you die during the deferral. Once you buy it, you can't access that money. So you're like, wait a minute, I just put $500,000 to a longevity annuity, but I really want to buy this house. Can I get my money back? No, you cannot. And the risk of not receiving amounts equal to the purchase price may make the product unappealing because you might not live long enough to get the money back out. The chances are that you will, but you never know. And this qualified longevity annuity contract is interesting because just like the previous thing, it's a longevity annuity, but you're buying it with tax qualified assets. So remember that at age 72, you have to take a required minimum distribution, but the IRS will allow you to use up to, and I think right now it's $100,000. I have to verify that. You can take $100,000 from your IRA and put it into a qualified longevity annuity contract. And as you know, this might start paying out at 85. It doesn't have to be 85, but I think that's as long as you can delay it to age 85, at which point then the money will be paid out. So at age 72, the money that would have been sitting in your IRA is now in this longevity contract. So it won't be subject to the RMD rules from age 72 to 85. Again, this requires quite a bit of analysis to decide if that's worth it for you. You might be thinking, who cares? Why do you want to avoid that RMD? The required minimum distribution sometimes results in people getting a lot more income at age 72 than they need. You're like, what? Yeah, sometimes people oversave and they're like, I don't really want to take that money out. I just want to leave it alone. But the IRS is like, no. You made the deal. You put the money in pre-tax and you got to start taking it out at age 72. So the longevity annuity contract allows you to at least park some of that IRA money inside of this longevity contract, and those payments don't begin until maybe you can delay it to 85. Oh, and I love these. The multi-year guaranteed annuity is the insurance industry's solution to a CD. And One of the most ridiculous websites is Stan the Annuity Man. If I haven't shown you him already, we should look at him real quick. So Stan the Annuity Man is just a guy who sells annuities. He's out of Florida. He's kind of a Yahoo, but I like his site. So let's say you want to buy a CD. And if we look at CD rates for like a 5-year CD, let's see what bank rate tells us we're going to get. 2-year, don't care. Best of 5-year CDs right now, according to bank rate, 1% per year. Doesn't that make you want to barf? Okay, so let's look. Who's going to give away their money for 5 years for 1%? Let's look at what we could get on a multi-year guaranteed annuity, which is essentially just telling an insurance company, look, hold my money for 5 years. You can just keep it for 5, but I want it back. I want a lump sum back in 5 years. What are you going to give me for a rate? And the multi-year guaranteed annuity rate right now, the best one is dun, 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 a company I've never heard of, Silac, rated B+, but who cares? It's guaranteed, right? We wouldn't give them more than 300,000, but they'll take up to 500,000. We get no free withdrawals, so you got to let it sit. And the yield to surrender is 2.95% per year. So 3 times a CD rate. You're like, why? How can they do this? Well, they have to, because they know that you love FDIC insurance that you get with a CD. You don't get it with this. You have to deal with the state guarantee fund. The other thing is it's an insurance company. And plus it's a company you've never heard of. Plus it's a company that's got an AM Best rating of B+. Plus you don't know where this company is. There's no human being that you can go choke to get your money back. You're like, I want my money back. So with a CD, you can go to the bank. Can I visit my money? You can probably log in and see it on some website. They'll show it to you. Like, oh, here's your CD balance. And that feels good. But it's 1% per year versus this unknown company with an AM Best rating of B+. You're like, that's not so bad. It is actually, when you think about like what that means. And there's no website that you're going to be able to log into to visit your money. You just have this contract in your drawer and you're just please banking on them paying you in 5 years. And they work. They're a perfectly legitimate place to park your money. You just don't want to put more than the state guarantee fund max into any one contract. But so I love multi-year guaranteed annuities. How did the time fly so much? I'm going to do a follow-up on the taxation of annuities and on IRAs instead of trying to cram it in the last 3 minutes. Let's see what else I wanted to mention. Talked about those, the multi-year guaranteed annuities we talked about. And when you buy an annuity, you can buy it with after-tax money, meaning, you know, your lottery winnings after you pay the taxes on it, or just what you've saved up when you go to retire. You know, you can just put whatever you have in your Vanguard brokerage account in this. But you might also use an annuity for your retirement account savings, like for an IRA or a 403b. And that is, to me, seems like doubling up on tax deferral, and it's usually not a good idea. So usually if you're going to be saving for retirement inside of a tax deferred vehicle that already gives you that delay in taxation until you retire, you don't want to pair it with an annuity.